Welcome to another Extra Time Football video. South Africa versus the Czech Republic just finished, and both teams walk away with a point. Let me just say, as a Mexico fan, this was one of the best outcomes that we could have hoped for. Now that the game ended in a draw, it means that whoever wins the game tonight finishes off with first place. From my eyes, I will be rooting for Mexico, and I hope that it is done. But I don't put it past the Koreans, to get that win. South Korea is a strong team, and they're led by Hyun Sun, one of, uh, if not the greatest Asian player of all time, definitely the greatest South Korean player of all time. But let's dive deep into the South Africa and the Czech Republic thing. The first half, it started off with the Czech Republic being a little bit stronger. The first 5 minutes, they kick off with the goal. Sadalik puts it away, goes up 1-0. After that, the next 5-10 minutes afterwards, the Czech Republic were the more dominant team. They had more possession. They were more on top of things, and it just looked like they might be able to get more. Around the 15-ish minute or so, South Africa started to gain more possession. They began to go forward and propose more attacks toward Czechia's goal. South Africa had several chances in the first half, but nothing of real threat to the Czech goal. Although South Africa did attempt more and they went on the attack more, they lacked a clear end product to conclude their plays. Now, this did affect them overall throughout the game, as they could have walked away with more, but they just lacked a more clinical presence in the box. They just lacked more definition. It just wasn't there for them. They just didn't have that to them. South Africa, went into the first half losing it, but I could say that the Czech Republic was lucky not to concede an equalizer. Especially, that after that howler that the keeper had towards the end of the first, where he just leaves the ball in the box. And if South Africa had been a little bit more clinical there, they could have gone to the break with an equalized score. But thankfully for the Czech Republic, that wasn't so. When the second half started, again, the Czech Republic starts off just like they started off the first half. They're having a clear goal scoring opportunity that just lacked a more clinical finish to put the ball away on their end. South Africa appeared to have a rough opening beginning of the second half again, which seems to be a trend now. They seem to struggle at the start of each half. They started rough in the first half. They started rough in the second half. They started rough in both first and second half against Mexico too. So it looks like the best time to attack South Africa and give it your all is those first 10-15 minutes, as that is when they're most vulnerable. That is when they just, they lack more clarity in the back, and it looks like they are just more prone to conceding attacks. So again, this is a big, up for South Korea looking into their next game as they are playing the South Africans. That time span is the best time to strike against them. South Africa, they were persistent in the second half, but they kept lacking that end product. The Czech Republic sat back a bit more in the second after, having 1 and 2 plays that definitely worried the South African fans. They could have put the game away early on in the second. Again, that first minute or two, they had one that was clear, but just they weren't clinical with it. They also had a header from a corner that looked like it had more to it, but they weren't able to put it away either. The Czech Republic, after the first 10-15 minutes, they just decided to sit back and defend that 1-0 lead, but South Africa was persistent. It didn't look like an equalizer would be coming until the 80th minute, when a shot into the box came off on a defender's hand and awarded them a penalty. Mokoena, I apologize if I mispronounced that, but Mokoena stepped up to put the penalty away and equalize for the South Africans. The draw, puts the ball in Mexico and South Korea's court, as thanks to the point shared between these two teams, as I was mentioning before, it gives them the opportunity to win the group. So whoever wins tonight, that is if there even is a winner, will be taking this group. Although South Africa were the better team overall in my eyes, and they were unlucky to walk away with just a point when I could have easily seen them walking away with all three. They were fortunate also to get that penalty, because if I'm being completely honest, although I did see them as the best team, I didn't see them scoring a goal from open play. They just lacked that final attacking presence in the final third. There's no clinical person on their team. They just can't close off their plays. They were generating good and definitely a way better showing than against Mexico, but they just lacked that essence in the end. But that concluded the game between South Africa and the Czech Republic. A good game, I'd say. Nice point shared between the two. South Africa will definitely feel unlucky, and they're unfortunate on their side that they didn't walk away with all 3 points. I'd say that even though the Czech Republic led for the majority of the game, they were fortunate to still walk away with the point after how much South Africa was better than them. But, a good game does await us tonight. And although I do want Mexico to take the win and seal that first place spot, I know that is going to be a tough ask, and South Korea is definitely going to put up a fight. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if they also take the win too. But Mexico has the factor that they are playing on home soil. They have those home fans. And I know those home fans in Mexico can get pretty loud and can make it tough for the opposition. But again, we have another great game tonight, and I'll be looking forward to that one. Thank you again for tuning in to another post-game recap. If you enjoyed the video, it would mean a lot to me if you can like and subscribe, and hopefully I get to catch you again soon on the next one.